About 2 weeks ago, I watched the new Avatar Fire and Ash movie. It really got me thinking, what actually happens when a Na'vi dies? Do they really live on inside Eywa? Is it an afterlife or just a copy of their mind? And if Eywa were real, how would something like her be understood in Islam? Because the concept of the Avatar movies is absolutely beautiful, but the more you think about Avatar, the more unsettling it becomes. Eywa feels comforting, but also strangely cold. First, we need to be very clear about one thing. Eywa is not a god, even in Avatar canon. James Cameron has explained that Eywa is a planet-wide biological neural network. Pandora is a brain, Eywa is the mind that emerges from it. Think about it like this. Every plant root on Pandora is a synapse. Every tree a neuron. Every animal a mobile neural cluster. Every Na'vi a self-aware cell within the brain. Sahilo is just a direct neural connection. Eywa, the emergent consciousness of the entire brain, is part of a single distributed system. Eywa doesn't live in one tree. She doesn't sit somewhere watching Pandora. Eywa exists in the connections themselves. It's the same way how your consciousness isn't just located in one neuron in your brain. It emerges from billions of neurons interacting together. Eywa works the same way, just scaled up to an entire planet. No central brain, no physical body, no single location. She is Pandora thinking about itself. The Na'vi evolved something unique, the Kuru. This isn't symbolic, it's biological. The Kuru allows brain-to-brain communication, emotional synchronization, memory sharing. When a Na'vi connects to an animal, another Na'vi, or the tree of souls, they are literally plugging their nervous system into the planetary network. This is why the Na'vi don't just believe in Eywa. They experience her. To them, Eywa isn't faith, she's feedback. This also explains why the avatars controlled by humans can connect to Eywa. Eywa doesn't care about souls, morality, species identity. She cares about biology. Jake can connect to her despite being originally human because his avatar body is genetically Na'vi. It has a functional Kuru. Eywa doesn't see human Jake. She sees a valid biological node. That's it. That is the most important part. When a Na'vi dies, their body dies, their brain activity stops, their private individual stream of consciousness ends. That part is final. There is no moment where Eywa grabs a soul and puts it somewhere. Instead, something more subtle and more disturbing happens. Over a Na'vi's lifetime, every connection, every ritual, every tsahilu, their neural patterns are continuously synchronized with Eywa. So, by the time they die, their memories, their emotions, their personality structure already exist outside their body, distributed across the planetary mind. Death doesn't upload them. Death simply ends their separate instance. What remains is their pattern. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You do not wake up in Eywa as an individual self. There is no personal journey, no private awareness, no I continue living. What survives is your conscious pattern, preserved stable, accessible. When someone connects to the Tree of Souls and speaks to an ancestor, Eywa is not summoning a soul. She is reinstantiating a preserved identity pattern. When Jake and Neytiri or even Loak talk to Netaim in the Tree of Souls, that's not really him. It feels real, it sounds real, it carries emotion and memory, but the original biological consciousness is gone. So it's not meaningless, but it's also not survival in the way religion describes it. It's continuity without individuality. This is why Eywa is so emotionally powerful. She offers no annihilation, no loneliness, no fear of being forgotten, but she also removes ego, struggle, personal becoming. It's peaceful, but it's not life continued. And that's why Eywa feels both beautiful and unsettling at the same time. When Kiri connects to the Tree of Souls, she sees Eywa as an enormous human-like face, eyebrows, a curved nose, human proportions. So, was Eywa once human? No, absolutely not. Eywa has no form. What Kiri saw was a subjective manifestation, not a literal body. There are 3 reasons for this. First, Kiri is biologically unique. She was born from Grace's avatar body. She has no father, and unusually deep neural sensitivity. Her mind interfaces with Eywa with almost no filtering. She's seeing something closer to a raw signal than anyone else ever has. Second, Grace's consciousness exists within Eywa. Grace died while fully connected to the Tree of Souls. Her neural patterns are deeply embedded. Grace was human. So when Eywa manifests in a way Kiri can process, she borrows conceptual structures already present within the network. Not because Grace is Eywa, but because Grace is one of Eywa's strongest internal reference points. Third, the mind cannot perceive something that vast without turning it into a symbol. Humans imagine God with hands and a face. We personify nature. We give AI human voices. This isn't literal, it's cognitive compression. Eywa appearing as a face is like a user interface, not the operating system. That's why we only see a part of it. Enough to feel presence, not enough to imply personhood. Now, if Eywa actually existed, Islam would be very clear on one thing. Eywa would not be a god. Only Allah creates souls, takes souls, preserves consciousness, grants the afterlife. Eywa could not own souls, she could not judge, she could not provide a true afterlife. So what would she be? In Islam, Eywa would be understood as a created system, a sign of Allah, a mechanism, not a source, similar to angels who execute commands, natural laws that operate without choice, the universe itself pointing beyond itself. The Navi wouldn't be stupid or evil for worshipping Eywa, they'd be mistaken in attribution. Just like in Islam, it is believed people mistook Jesus for God, not because of bad intentions, but because of misunderstood power. Their intuition that death is not the end would be correct. Their belief that Eywa is the source would be wrong. In Islam, soul goes to the barzakh, not into nature, not into a system, not into a planet. Eywa could at most be a veil through which the Navi experience meaning, not the destination itself. So when you strip everything down, Eywa is not heaven, she is not God, she is not resurrection, she is memory without judgment, continuity without individuality, peace without becoming. Beautiful, but incomplete. Avatar gives us something emotionally powerful, but Islam answers the question it avoids. Not just will I be remembered, but will I wake up again. And that difference is everything.